There's been a lot of rumors about Anthony Davis being traded by the trade deadline, and a lot of people are saying the Warriors could be his destination. So today, I'm trading not only Anthony Davis, but also Klay Thompson back to the Golden State Warriors in return for Kuminga, Draymond Green, Q Santos, and multiple first-round picks. And to make this trade happen, I did have to turn on trade override because the Mavericks won't accept this trade otherwise, so let's go ahead and pull off this trade. And now this is what the roster is looking like as of right now. We formed a new big three of Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, and Jimmy Butler. Plus, we also have Klay Thompson, who will be the sixth man, providing us with three-point shooting off of the bench. But there's still a pretty big problem we face, and that is we don't have ourselves a power forward. Since trading away Draymond Green, we're empty at the power forward position, which means I'm gonna have to pull off one last trade before we start simulating. And I feel like Keegan Murray could be the perfect starting power forward on our team, and I'm also trying to get Keon Ellis from the Sacramento Kings in return for Moses Moody, DeAnthony Melton, Gary Payton II, and we're probably going to have to include a first-round pick. One first-round pick gets it done, and we get ourselves Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray. And before I show you guys the rotation, I would really appreciate it if you could take a quick second out of your time to hit that thumbs up button and also subscribe if you're new. It really does support out my videos and channel a ton. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so please hit that subscribe button. Now this is what the new and upgraded rotation will be looking like. In the starting lineup, we have Stephen Curry, Keon Ellis, Jimmy Butler, Keegan Murray, and Anthony Davis. And then off the bench, we have Brendan Pajemski, Klay Thompson, Quinton Post, Pat Spencer, and Al Horford. I did end up changing Klay Thompson's position from shooting guard to small forward, where he's jumped up to an 80 overall. Now let's simulate the first few games and see how we do. The next game is up against the OKC Thunder, and we do end up defeating the OKC Thunder 125-105, where Jimmy Butler dropped 34, 7, 7, and 4. Anthony Davis in his Warriors debut had 15 points, and Curry with 14. Let's see if we're also able to defeat the Utah Jazz, and we do end up defeating the Utah Jazz, holding them to only 94 points, and Quinton Post was the leading scorer off the bench, dropping 19 points. AD had a 16-point double-double. And so far, we haven't lost a single game with this new roster. Can we defeat the Clippers? And yes, we do, holding them to 107 points, and AD had a 21-point double-double. Butler had 20, and Klay Thompson off the bench dropped 19 points, hitting 4 out of his 7 three-pointers attempted. Throughout the process of this video, I will also be rebuilding the Golden State Warriors, which means pulling off trades to hopefully win Stephen Curry, AD, and Jimmy Butler a championship before they decide to retire. And as of right now, we will be rolling with a 4.5-star overall system proficiency, perimeter-centric under Steve Kerr. We're stopped here at the trade deadline, and currently we are the number 7 seed with 30 wins and 21 losses. When I started recording this video, we were the number 8 seed with 18 wins and 16 losses, so we have been doing a little bit better. But I do believe there is still a few more upgrades we need to do to our roster. We don't have too large of a window to win with Stephen Curry, AD, and Jimmy Butler, since they are towards the end of their career and may be retiring pretty soon, so I have to do everything in my power to help them win a championship now. So I'm going to try upgrading a few positions, and I'll just show you guys which trades I cook up. I decided to throw Buddy Hield, Will Richard, and a first-round pick in Trade Finder, and the Atlanta Hawks are offering us Nickeil Alexander-Walker and a first-round pick. So of course, we're going to go ahead and pull off this trade. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is averaging, I believe, 17 points per game if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's averaging 17 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 38% from the three-point line. As much as I like Quinton Post and his floor spacing, currently we're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, so I'm going to go ahead and trade for one of the best rebounders in the league, Clint Capella, and we also get ourselves a first-round pick in return for Quinton Post and Trace Jackson Davis. And now with our new and upgraded rotation, we're looking like some real championship contenders. Our starting lineup is absolutely amazing, and so is our bench unit. I'm going to start simulating until the end of this season, and then I'll see you guys hopefully in the playoff. At the end of this season, Nikola Jokic wins MVP, Cooper Flag Rookie of the Year, Reed Shepherd 6th Man, Victor Wembanyama Defensive Player, Quetta Most Improved, Devin Booker Clutch Player, Mike Brown Coach of the Year, and we end up winning Executive of the Year. Let's see if we have any All-NBA selections. We do get ourselves Anthony Davis on an All-NBA third team, but sadly no Stephen Curry. It looks like we don't get AD on all defensive team, but we did end this season in being the number 3 seed, winning a total of 57 games and losing only 25. So ever since the trade deadline, the trades we've pulled off, I believe we've only lost 4 games ever since. Before we start simulating the playoffs, let's take a look at the player stats here in the regular season. The leading scorer on our team was Stephen Curry, averaging 24 points per game. Then we had Anthony Davis averaging 22, 11, and 3, as well as 2 blocks and 1.5 steal. Then we had Jimmy Butler 18, 16 from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 13 from Murray, 12 from Podziemski, and 11 from Klay Thompson. In the first round of the playoffs, we will be taking on the Denver Nuggets, who still have themselves Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Cameron Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and of course, Nikola Jokic. They were the number 6 seed. Let's see if we're able to defeat this team. Game number 1 does end up going to us, and AD drops 33 points, Curry with 25, and Jimmy Butler with 20. We also end up winning game 2, AD with a 35-point double-double. Stephen Curry dropped 34, and Butler had himself a 17-point double-double. Can we go up 3-0? Yes, we can. Now it looks like we end up sweeping the MVP, Nikola Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets. So far here in the playoffs, Curry's averaging 28.5 points per game, and then we have Anthony Davis averaging 30 points per game. In the second round of the playoffs, we're taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who still have themselves Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert, as well as Naz Reid coming off of their bench. Now let's get a simulating and see if we can defeat the Timberwolves. Game number 1 does end up going to the Timberwolves. They defeat us here by 5 points. Curry had 39, AD had 23, but sadly that was not enough. We do end up winning game 2. AD dropped a 31-point double-double. Curry with 26, and Na with 25. We do end up losing game 3 as well. Butler had 35, 23 from Curry, but that was not enough. We end up losing by 3 points. And what I believe I'm going to do is come up with a defensive coach game plan, and then we'll advance to game 4. Now I've come up with a defensive coach game plan. Let's jump into Simcast and see if we can tie up this series. We will have home court advantage on our side, and we do start off the first quarter with the lead, but they take it back real quick in the second quarter. Hopefully we could come back here in the second half. Let's see what happens. We do take the lead from them, and now we're up by 11 points. Let's go. Let's see if we can keep this lead. Hopefully we can, and it looks like we will be winning this game by 11 points. AD had a 30-point double-double, Keegan Murray with 25, Butler with 20, and Curry with 15. And just like that, we're back tied at 2-2 apiece. Let's jump into Simcast once again. This time the Timberwolves have home court advantage, but we do start off really strong, and we end up holding the Timberwolves to 99 points, whereas we scored 129. And Curry dropped 29, Murray with 23, Na with 19. And just like that, we're up 3-2, and now we have home court advantage for this game. And so far it's a close battle. We're up by 1, 4 minutes remaining, and they take the lead right from us, and sadly they win by 2 points. Curry played amazing, so did Butler, but that was not enough. And now we're tied 3-3 apiece, winner go home situation for both teams, and sadly the Timberwolves have home court advantage on their side for game 7, but we do start off the first quarter pretty strong. We have the lead, we're up by 5 going into the fourth quarter. Hopefully we don't let them take it, and of course we do. Now they're up by 3 points, 8 minutes remaining. Let's slow this down and see what happens. Can we come back? 5 minutes remaining. They're still up by quite a bit, but we are starting to push back. They're up by 2, 250 remaining. Tie game, 150 remaining. We take the lead, but it's still a really close back and forth battle here, and we are starting to run away with it, and it looks like we're going to the conference finals. We scored 40 points in the fourth quarter. Na had himself 29, 25 from Curry, and a 21-point double-double from Anthony Davis. It was starting to feel like we were going to lose there to the Timberwolves, but thankfully we pulled through and beat them in game 7. Now in the conference finals, we're taking on Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, and they have themselves a really good lineup here. They have De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Barnes, and Victor Wembanyama, as well as Dylan Harper and Keldon Johnson coming off of their bench. Let's see what happens. Game number 1 will go to us, and Curry with 38 points, 23 from Murray, and 23-point double-double from Anthony Davis. We also end up winning game 2, Butler 22, AD with 22, and Klay Thompson drops 20 points in 20 minutes. And now we're up 2-0. Hopefully we can make this 3-0, and that is exactly what we end up doing. Playoff Jimmy with 32 points in 32 minutes, Curry with 27, and AD with a 27-point double-double, as well as 3 blocks, if I'm not mistaken, 6 blocks and 4 steals. So in total, he had 10 stocks. And are we going to sweep the Defensive Player of the Year and his team? We do not sweep them. But we do gentlemen sweep them, and Anthony Davis wins Western Conference Finals MVP, averaging a 24-point double-double. Karl Anthony Towns wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP for the New York Knicks. And that means we're taking on the New York Knicks here in the NBA Finals. They were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they still have themselves a really good starting lineup. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Karl Anthony Towns. This is definitely going to be our hardest challenge yet. Let's see what happens here against New York Knicks. We do end up winning game 1 by 10 points, where Curry dropped 32. Game number 2 does end up going to the Knicks, sadly. They defeat us here by 3 points. AD played amazing, but that was not enough to get the win, and we win game 3. Both Jimmy Butler and Curry had 27 points, and Anthony Davis dropped 20 points, 18 rebounds, and 4 assists. Now hopefully we can go up 3-1, and that's exactly what we do. Let's go. Anthony Davis drops 28 points and 18 rebounds. Curry had himself 25, Nah had 20 as well. And we gentlemen sweep the New York Knicks to win Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, and Jimmy Butler a championship, with Anthony Davis winning Finals MVP, averaging 20 points per game, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks on 50% from the field. Of course, I will be running it back one more season. We'll see if we're able to win a back-to-back championship, but let's take a look at the player stats for the playoffs. So we played a total of 21 games, and in those 21 games, Stephen Curry was the leading scorer, averaging 27 points per game. Then we had AD averaging a 24-point double-double, 21 from Jimmy, and a bunch of more players in double-digit scoring. And in the NBA Finals, where we played 5 games, Curry was the leading scorer, averaging 27.5 points per game, 20-point double-double from AD, 17 from Butler, and the rest of the team. And let's take a look at how Klay Thompson did here in the playoffs. He was averaging 10 points per game on 50, 40, 85 shooting splits, so he played absolutely amazing. And from our team, we have 2 players that will be retiring, Al Horford and Seth Curry. That's a perfect way for Seth Curry to end out his career, playing with the Golden State Warriors alongside Steph and winning a championship on the way out. I decided to throw Keegan Murray and a first-round pick in Trade Finder to see what we could get back in return, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are offering us Naz Reid. And of course, I will be pulling off this trade. We're going to move Naz Reid to be our brand new starting power forward, and with his skills, I believe we're going to be unstoppable. And I forgot to mention, I signed Malik Beasley and Ben Simmons on 2-year contracts. We had below 14 players on our team, so we were forced to sign free agents, and I went ahead and signed these 2. We could possibly use them in a trade this offseason depending on how things go. And we also have ourselves a first-round pick in the 2026 NBA Draft via the Cleveland Cavaliers at the 22nd overall pick. So let's see who we're going to be taking. The Hawks have the first overall pick, and they take Darren Peterson. The Wizards have the second overall pick. They take Cameron Boozer, and it looks like the Mavericks may take AJ DeBonsa, and that is exactly what they do to pair up with Cooper Flagg. The 22nd overall pick, I'm not sure who we're going to take here, but it looks like we do still have Braden Burries on the board. And I've decided we're going to be drafting Braden Burries, who's a shooting guard, only 18 years old. He probably won't be a part of our rotation because he will be a low overall, so we're most likely either going to have him sitting on the bench or maybe even trade him this offseason. Team player options, of course, we're going to pick up the team option on Brandon Pajemski. He was playing really well for us this past season, and Brandon Pajemski in 2K Simulation, I've noticed, is a cheat code. His efficiency is always so good, so if you turn his shot tendency up, he scores a boatload of buckets on really good shooting splits. Qualifying offers, it doesn't look like we need to re-sign anyone here in free agency, and yeah, so we have every player locked up on long-term contracts. And now for free agency, we do need ourselves a backup center since we traded away Clint Capella in the last trade we just pulled off, and it looks like Mitchell Robinson is on the board and we are able to afford him. He could be the perfect backup center, so I'm going to go ahead and offer him a 2-year contract, paying him about $4.27 million, and it looks like he will be accepting. The Charlotte Hornets are offering us Ryan Kalkbrenner and Musa in return for Ben Simmons, Keon Ellis, and Braden Burries. Neither of these 3 players have been or are going to be a part of our rotation, so might as well trade them away and get ourselves a really good backup center who's an amazing rim protector. He can rebound and score. Here we are at the start of this season with our brand new 9-man rotation. In the starting lineup, we have ourselves Stephen Curry, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jimmy Butler, Naz Reid, and Anthony Davis. And then off the bench, we have Brennan Pajemski, Klay Thompson, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and Kenrich Williams. There was some regression from our older players, and if Klay Thompson doesn't play well, thankfully we have Malik Beasley that we could sub him out for, but as of right now, Klay Thompson will be a part of this rotation. Let's simulate the first few games of the season and see how we do. We do end up defeating the LA Lakers 116-96, where AD dropped 27 and 13. Curry had himself 16 points. And we also end up defeating the Miami Heat, dropping 163 points, with Curry having 33 of those. Jimmy Butler had a 32-point double-double, and Anthony Davis had 28 and 12. I believe this season we're going to be unstoppable. The addition of Naz Reid is definitely going to help us a ton, and we also beat the Hornets, dropping 150 points. Curry dropped 39, Naz Reid had himself 29, and so far Reid is averaging 20 points per game. Nah had 22 as well. We will be rolling with a 4.5-star overall system proficiency, perimeter-centric under Steve Kerr. At the end of this season, Victor Wembanyama wins MVP, Cameron Boozer Rookie of the Year, Darren Peterson 6-man, Wemby DPOY, Ivy wins Most Improved, Luka Doncic Clutch Player, Steve Kerr Coach of the Year, and we also win Executive of the Year. Let's check out the All-NBA selections. We do get ourselves Anthony Davis once again on All-NBA 3rd team, and it looks like that will, never mind, we also get AD on All-Defensive 2nd team. Let's go. We ended this season being the #1 seed, winning a total of 76 games and losing only 6. We just beat the Warriors' previous record that was held with 73 wins and 9 losses. Before we start simulating the playoffs, let's take a look at the player stats for the regular season. And the leading scorer on our team was Stephen Curry, averaging 26 points per game on 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. And then we had AD averaging 23 points, 11 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. 16 from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 15 from Butler, and Naz Reid was amazing as well, averaging 14 points, 8 rebounds on 54% from the field. This season, Klay Thompson played amazing as well. Even though his overall went down from the previous season, he did a lot better this season than he did last. He was shooting 44% from the field and 42% from the 3-point line. I believe he made about 100-something 3-pointers, 156 3-pointers made. And now in the first round of the playoffs, we're taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who still have themselves Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and it looks like they no longer have Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm not sure how this team ended up being the #7 seed, but somehow they are, and sadly we have to take them on. Game #1 does go to us. Curry drops 27, AD with 25, Naz Reid 23, and Butler with 22. We also end up winning game 2. Let's go. AD with 38 points and 12 rebounds. Curry had a 16-point double-double himself. We win game 3 and we sweep the OKC Thunder to make it to the second round. So far, Curry's averaging 20 points per game, 13 from Nah, 11 from Jimmy, 20 from Naz Reid, and 34 points per game from Anthony Davis. Now in the second round of the playoffs, we're taking on the San Antonio Spurs, and it looks like they have the same roster except their younger players have developed and went up in overall. They still have De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Vassell, Sohan, and of course Victor Wembanyama. They have Dylan Harper and Keldon Johnson still coming off of their bench. Game #1 will go to us, an AD with 31 points and 18 rebounds. Butler with 23, Curry with only 15 points. He did struggle big time here, shooting only 3 of 17. We do end up winning game 2, let's go. Curry dropped 28, AD with 29, and we also win game 3. We do not sweep the Spurs, we don't gentlemen sweep them either. They are starting to push back. Curry dropped 36, but we do still fall short. It's now time for game 6. I did decide to come up with a defensive coach game plan. Let's see if that's going to help us win this game. The Spurs will have home court advantage. So far they do have the lead. They're up by 4 points here in the fourth quarter. Can we come back? And it looks like we won't be coming back, and it will be going to a game 7. Curry played absolutely amazing, but the rest of the team did kind of struggle and our defense wasn't all there. Now it's time for game 7. I did change up some player shot tendencies depending on who's playing well. We will have home court advantage on our side for game 7, and we do start off the first quarter really strong, scoring 40 points. We are up by 8 points in the third quarter. Can we keep this lead? And now we're up by 13 points in the fourth quarter, and it looks like we will defeat the San Antonio Spurs in game 7, where Curry dropped 39, Butler with a 24-point double-double, and Ryan Kalkbrenner with 22 points and 9 rebounds. And just like that, we're in the conference finals, now taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they have the same roster as last season as well, the same starting lineup. They have DiVincenzo, Ant-Man, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Gobert. Now they have themselves Keegan Murray and Clint Capella coming off of the bench, since we traded Keegan Murray and Capella in return for Naz Reid. Game number 1 will go to us, and AD goes off here, dropping 34 points. Let's go. We also win game 2. Who led the way this time? It was Playoff Jimmy with 23. We also win game 3, and is this going to be a sweep? It won't be a sweep, and it's not going to be a gentleman's sweep either. Okay, this is starting to look like what the Spurs did to us. Hopefully this does not go to game 7. Let's jump into Simcast and see what happens. So far we do have the lead, and it's going to overtime. We end up winning in overtime by 9 points. Playoff Jimmy dropped 33 points, Curry had 26, and Na had himself 20. And Anthony Davis wins Western Conference Finals MVP, averaging 21 and 12, and it looks like Cade Cunningham wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP for the Detroit Pistons. It looks like we're taking on the Pistons. They were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they still have Cade Cunningham, Ivy, Thompson, Holland, and Jalen Duren. Let's see if we can win our big 3 back-to-back championship. Game number 1 will go to us. AD 25, Curry 24, Butler 17. We also win game 2, and this time it was Klay Thompson leading the way, dropping 34 points in 21 minutes, hitting 10 out of his 11 3-pointers. Let's go. The Splash Brothers here had over 60 points combined. And now we're up 2-0. Hopefully we can make this 3-0, and yes, we can. Curry dropped 40 points, 20 from Butler, and a 14-point double-double from Naz Reid. AD had 12. And is this going to be a sweep? No, it won't. What about a gentleman's sweep? Yes, it will. And just like that, we've won the Golden State Warriors a back-to-back championship. This time, Stephen Curry wins Finals MVP, averaging nearly 30 points per game on 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. Let's take a look at the player stats before we end out this video. Here in the playoffs, we played a total of 22 games, and in those 22 games, Curry led the way, dropping 26 points per game on really good shooting splits. Then we had Anthony Davis averaging a 23-point double-double, 16 from Butler, 15 from Reid, and the rest of the team. Klay Thompson was averaging 12 points per game on 50, 50, 80 shooting splits. Let's go. Here is the NBA Finals stats. We played 5 games. Curry led the way, nearly averaging 30 points per game, 22 from AD. Klay Thompson was averaging 18 points per game here in the NBA Finals. And now both Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry have 6 championships, tying them up with Michael Jordan. Before I end out this video, I would like to give a huge shout out to my boy Masoud, who's been requesting for me to do a Warriors rebuild, so a huge shout out to you, and also Happy New Year's to everyone watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and also subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and click here on the screen to watch my latest upload. Until next time, it's your boy Dragon, and I'm out. Peace.